Time right now for the Sioux Falls Real Estate Update with Brent Baker. And last week we were talking about people who maybe are becoming landlords, whether they're renting things out through Airbnb or they have a house that they were going to sell and it hadn't sold. They're renting that out. And we're talking about some of the pitfalls and some of the things that could happen. If you missed any of the program last week, you can catch that conversation at SiouxFallsPodcast.com. But Brent is back in the studio right now. And on the list, here's kind of where we left off last week. We were talking about some of the market trends, because if you're going to be diving into this, going from a homeowner to now you're a landlord, these are some things you should probably know about.
Correct. And, rents were going up for a long time. And there's some softening because, as new units get built, and that puts pressure on the older units. Obviously everybody is going to want the newer unit. Yeah. And if they have the budget to do it, great. If not, they'll go to the older one. But obviously the price has to be relevant to that. So it's not as easy as just saying, well, this guy over in that neighborhood is getting $1,750 a month. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not the same across the city.
Yeah. And every property is going to be different. And I see the last thing on the list here is preparing for emergencies. That can happen too, can't it? Emergencies happen.
Correct. One other thing we should touch on is how are you going to collect?
Oh, yeah. See, I'm not a very good landlord. I skipped over that part. Yeah. So what's this about making money? What?
Covering expenses?
Oh, yeah.
Heaven forbid. So there are, not all tenants, certainly not all, but some tenants think it's just all profit.
Yeah.
And they forget that there is, got to be a return on investment. Money was invested in the property. There may still be a mortgage, the cost of repairs. So rents need to be collected because property taxes need to be paid. Insurance needs to be current. So you need to have a plan. And so some people, it's automatically deducted. If you can't provide access to an account where every month that set amount is removed, you're probably not going to rent from that company. Mm. Others, you can pay with a check.
By a certain day of the month?
By a certain day. If you miss that date, obviously there's a fee or a percentage that gets tacked on. So, and you need to know the rules around that. What's the max you can charge? Should you? So a lot of things to consider that go back to the legal requirements. What's legal? What's ethical?
Yeah. And then now we get to the emergencies. I was trying to jump the gun. So as we're preparing for emergencies, that's something that not only can it happen, most likely if you're in this long enough, it will happen.
Correct. I mean, and some things purely are accidental. Sometimes it's a careless tenant, but sometimes it was deferred maintenance that caused the problem.
Yeah.
If the furnace is really old, it might be wise to replace the furnace in the summer, one, for efficiency, but two, for dependability.
Yeah.
Because if that furnace fails in the winter, now you're going to have emergency calls. Those are just more expensive to begin with. And then what if the item you need is not available?
Yeah, something on back order or whatever.
Correct.
If somebody listening, maybe they've got a property that they were thinking, I was going to rent this, but now I don't want to do that anymore. So well, hopefully we didn't scare them off if that's what they intended to do. But if there is somebody listening that's going, instead of renting a property, maybe I would like to sell that property. I know as a realtor, you help people buy properties. You help people sell properties. What's the best way for them to connect with you and maybe start the process?
I can be found at 605-310-0297 or Brent Baker at kw.com.
Very nice. Again, Brent Baker with Clients First Group and Keller Williams, and you can find him online at clientsfirstgroup.com.